They talk about.
Do you think Shedeur has a chance to play Sunday?
No. I can't figure out this. Why would you draft him and welcome in the circus, not even always his fault, that comes with him, only to not play him? Like, what? Only the Browns. Only the Browns would do this.
Take the negatives
and none of the positive.
And none of the positive.
Kevin Stefanski clears the air on Shedeur Sanders as Browns finalize decision on HC future the Cleveland Browns. Struggling offense has pushed every coaching decision under the microscope, especially those involving rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders. Despite rising concerns, Kevin Stefanski confirmed that nothing has changed regarding Sanders' practice reps, noting only that the rookie continues to perform well in post-practice drills. With Deshaun Watson out, Joe Flacco gone, Dylan Gabriel unable to ignite the offense, and Sanders still awaiting his first snap. Frustration is growing, yet, amid criticism and blowout losses throughout the season.
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. I'm going to be real with you. This is the kind of moment that tells you everything you need to know about a franchise without them saying a single word. On one side, you've got Kevin Stefanski standing at the podium, cool as ever, acting like nothing is wrong. Dylan's our guy, no changes. We like where we're at. We've heard it all before. Same tone, same lines, same story. Meanwhile, over in Baltimore, they're defensive coordinators in a film room breaking down a quarterback that supposedly isn't even in the Browns' plans for Sunday. You feel that? That's the disconnect. That's the crack in the foundation. Because let's just slow this down for a second. Defensive coordinators don't waste time. They don't burn hours of prep on players who aren't playing. This isn't college where you pretend to be cute and over-prepare. This is the NFL. Every rep in practice, every meeting, every minute of film is scheduled down to the second. So when a guy like the Ravens DC sits down and says, "Yeah, we've done work on Shedeur," that's not some throwaway line. That's a tell. That's the league saying, we don't believe what Cleveland is selling. And that right there is what should terrify Browns fans. Because it's not just about Shedeur getting ready or not getting ready. It's not even just about Dylan Gabriel playing bad football or decent football. It's about perception. It's about who's actually in control of this thing. Is it Stefanski? Is it the front office? Is it ownership? Or has this whole situation spun so far out of alignment that the only people who actually see what's coming are the ones on the other sideline? Think about the message it sends. Your head coach is basically telling the world, relax, nothing to see here. We're rolling with our starter. But a division rival looks at the tape, looks at the pressure, looks at the noise and says, nah, there's no way that's the whole truth. We better get ready for the kid. That's not normal. That is not how stable organizations operate. When Buffalo says Josh Allen is their guy, nobody is secretly prepping for Case Keenum. When Cincinnati says Burrow is healthy enough to go, nobody is lurking in the background planning for the backup to suddenly take over the franchise. But with Cleveland, different story. The Ravens are reading between the lines. They see the fan frustration, the empty seats, the QB room chaos, the public denial. And in this league, when all those things start stacking up, there's usually only one ending. Change. Maybe not today. Maybe not in the first quarter, but soon, and defensive coaches know that. That's why Baltimore is respecting Shedeur enough to have a real plan if he shows up under center. And honestly, that might be the wildest part. The Browns publicly treat Shedeur like a long-term project, a background piece, a maybe later option. The Ravens treat him like a real threat they're not about to get ambushed by. One side is protecting feelings, the other side is protecting wins. So ask yourself, who sounds more in touch with reality right now? This isn't just a quarterback battle anymore. This is about ego, control, and whether the Browns are actually aligned as an organization. Because the NFL doesn't move like this by accident. Coordinators don't tip their hand like this for no reason. If Baltimore is already building out a Shedeur section in their game plan, that means one thing. They believe something is coming in Cleveland that Kevin Stefanski just isn't ready to say out loud. I'm going to be honest with you. If you want to understand just how lost the Cleveland Browns are right now, all you have to do is look at the quarterback room. It tells the whole story. It's not just messy. It's not just uncertain. It is a full-blown identity crisis unfolding in real time, right in front of the entire NFL. Think about where this team was supposed to be. Deshaun Watson, the guy they gave $250 million to, is hurt again. Nobody knows when he's coming back. Nobody knows what version of him will show up when he does. And nobody wants to say out loud what everyone is thinking. The Browns might never get the player they paid for. Joe Flacco, gone. A one-year miracle rental that the front office let walk. And now you're left with Dylan Gabriel, a rookie who's had every possible chance to prove he can control this offense. And he just hasn't. The stats don't lie. The drives don't lie. The scoreboard definitely doesn't lie. This offense flat out stalls with him behind center. And then, in the corner of the room, there's Shedeur Sanders. Not developing, not ascending, not even being evaluated, just stuck in some weird purgatory that no one can explain. He's too talented to treat like a practice squad kid, but he's also not being given the runway to show if he can lift a franchise that's been drowning for decades. That's the part that drives people crazy, because the Browns didn't spend a first-round pick on a decoy. They didn't bring in the son of Deion Sanders just to have him run scout team reps and hand the ball off after practice. They drafted him because they saw something real, and now they're acting like that something doesn't exist. And it's not just fans who see the dysfunction. The entire AFC North sees it. The national media sees it. Even the ticket sellers see it. When the get-in price for a Browns home game drops to $6, $6, that's not normal. That's a cry for help. That's fans saying, we're tired, we're tapped out, we're done watching this same predictable, lifeless offense every single week. A division rivalry game should be electric. It should be nasty. It should be one of those games where you can feel the energy through the screen. Instead, you've got an empty stadium echoing with frustration, resentment, and straight-up apathy. And you can't blame the fans. They're not asking for the world. They're asking for direction, for a plan, for some acknowledgement that the team sees what they see. But Stefanski keeps walking up to the podium with that same calm tone, giving the same dry answers, pretending this house isn't on fire. Dylan's our guy. We're sticking with the plan. What plan? Where's the evidence that this plan is working? How many 3-and-outs does it take before someone realizes the entire foundation is cracked? That's the disconnect. That's why players lose trust. That's why fans lose hope. Because when leadership keeps insisting nothing is wrong, even when the product on the field screams otherwise, people stop believing. They stop buying in. And in a league built on emotion, on confidence, on momentum, on belief, losing the room is the first step toward losing everything. And this is where Shedeur comes back in. Because whether he's ready or not, whether he's perfect or not, he represents what Cleveland doesn't have right now. Possibility, fresh energy, a new chapter, a reason to look toward the future instead of dreading the next Sunday. Fans aren't begging for Shedeur because they think he's Mahomes on day one. They're begging because he gives them something to believe in, something more than empty seats and empty promises. The Browns don't just need a quarterback, they need an identity. They need someone who can reboot the culture, reset the expectations, and steer this franchise in a direction that actually makes sense. And the longer they delay that decision, the louder the pressure gets, the louder the noise gets, the louder the stadium echoes with the question nobody in the building wants to face. What direction is this franchise actually going? And how much longer can they pretend the answer isn't staring them right in the face? I don't think people truly understand the weight Shedeur Sanders walked into the moment the Browns drafted him. And honestly, he never asked for any of this. He didn't ask to be the storyline. He didn't ask to be the lightning rod. He didn't ask to carry the legacy of one of the most polarizing, magnetic, and influential figures this sport has ever seen. But the second your last name is Sanders, the circus shows up before you even unpack your bags. Cameras, debates, hot takes, the whole show. And somehow, some way, Shedeur is the one getting judged for noise he didn't even create. And that's the part that blows my mind. Because from everything we've actually seen, Shedeur has handled this situation like a pro. No complaining, no cryptic posts, no backdoor leaks, no "my time is coming" ego clips. Nothing. The kid just works. He studies. He listens. He stays locked in. He does the interviews he's supposed to do, keeps his head down, and acts like a quarterback who knows his moment will come eventually. Most rookies crumble under half of this spotlight. Shedeur hasn't flinched once, yet he's the one taking hits in the media. He's the one analysts criticize for the distraction factor. Come on, man, let's be real. The Browns brought this circus into their building. They knew exactly what came with drafting the son of primetime. They embraced the spotlight on draft night. They embraced the hype. They embraced the brand. But the moment things got uncomfortable, suddenly Shedeur is the problem. Suddenly he's not ready, too raw, or not someone you want to throw into the fire. It's unfair. And more than that, it's lazy analysis. Because yes, we all know the concerns. We've heard every talking point on ESPN, on Twitter, in every AFC North fan space. He holds the ball too long. He took too many sacks at Colorado. NFL speed is different. He needs more time. Sure, valid points. But let's stop pretending like the Browns are protecting this perfect, well-oiled offense by keeping him benched. Let's stop pretending Dylan Gabriel is playing at some untouchable level. The dude has struggled, badly. The offense looks stiff, predictable, and lifeless. And that's the whole point. You can afford to wait on a rookie when your starter's producing, not when your offense is putting up numbers that look like they belong in a preseason scrimmage. And this is where the narrative around Shedeur becomes completely backward. The same analysts saying he's not ready to play are ignoring what's happening in real time. The Browns situation is the exact type of moment when rookie quarterbacks do get thrown into the mix. This is literally how it's always gone in NFL history. Think back. Justin Herbert wasn't ready. Dak Prescott wasn't ready. Jalen Hurts wasn't ready. None of these guys were polished when they got the call, yet they learned by playing. They grew in the fire. They took hits, made mistakes, and came out sharper because of it. But Cleveland refuses to even look at that possibility. They're too worried about managing headlines instead of managing their offense. Too worried about optics instead of output. Too focused on dismissing the noise instead of fixing what's on the field. And Shedeur gets caught in the crossfire, judged for things he can't control and blamed for attention that was coming whether he played or not. But here's the part that should wake everyone up. The arguments being used against Shedeur are the exact same ones the Ravens are preparing for. Baltimore sees the mobility. They see the arm. They see the poise. They see the playmaking ability outside the pocket. They see the stuff Cleveland pretends is not ready. The Ravens aren't prepping for a sideshow. They're prepping for a quarterback who can hurt them. And when your biggest rival takes your rookie more seriously than your own coaching staff does, that's when you know the narrative around Shedeur Sanders is about to flip on its head. There's a moment every NFL team reaches where it's not about schemes, it's not about analytics, it's not even about play calling anymore. It's about juice. It's about energy. It's about having somebody in that locker room who shakes up the entire building just by walking into the huddle. And right now, the Cleveland Browns desperately need that spark. You can feel it. You can see it in the body language on the sidelines. You can hear it in every tired post-game interview. This team isn't just losing games. They're losing life. And that's exactly why the Shedeur Sanders conversation hits different. Because say whatever you want about his readiness, say whatever you want about the circus, say whatever you want about the adjustment from college to the NFL, the one thing nobody can deny is that Shedeur brings energy. He brings swagger. He brings belief. At Colorado, the kid walked into absolute chaos. No offensive line, constant media pressure, a target on his back every single week, and he still stood tall in the pocket, delivered darts, and kept that team fighting when they had no business staying in games. That's not normal. That's poise. That's leadership. That's the exact thing the Browns are missing. And if you talk to people around the team, if you listen closely to reporters, teammates, whispers from practice, the story's the same. Shedeur works. He stays late. He runs post-practice drills with receivers who want extra reps. He's connecting with guys on the practice squad, with second-year players, with whoever wants to catch footballs until the sun goes down. That matters. That stuff travels. That stuff makes veterans look at you differently. Don't underestimate that. NFL players know who's serious. They know who's preparing like a franchise quarterback and who's just collecting a check. When a rookie comes in, humble, disciplined, and hungry. When he's in the film room early, when he's grinding through walkthroughs, when he's absorbing the playbook instead of sulking about not playing, players pay attention to that. Coaches pay attention to that. The whole building feels it. And right now, the Browns need that presence so badly it's painful. Because it's not just about benching Dylan Gabriel. It's not about flipping the depth chart. It's about giving a stagnant team a reason to breathe again. It's about injecting something fresh into a locker room that feels like a flat battery. Sometimes a quarterback change ignites the entire roster. Look at Baker's rookie year. Look at Brock Purdy stepping in. Look at the Eagles when they handed the keys to Jalen Hurts. The moment that new quarterback takes the field, suddenly guys block a little longer, receivers run routes a little sharper, the defense feeds off the momentum. It's real, it's emotional, it's contagious. And whether Stefanski wants to admit it or not, Shedeur is the only player on that roster who brings that kind of spark right now. Think about what it would mean for Cleveland fans. Fans who are exhausted, frustrated, fed up, but still show up every Sunday hoping for something different. The second Shedeur steps under center, that stadium will come alive again. People would actually want to watch. People would actually tune in. People would actually believe in the future instead of feeling like the Browns are stuck in the same loop they've been trapped in for 30 years. Ownership would feel it. The locker room would feel it. The city would feel it. This wouldn't just be a change at quarterback. It would be a cultural reset, a signal that Cleveland is finally ready to stop surviving and start building. That they're ready to stop putting Band-Aids on bullet wounds and start developing a real identity with a real leader who can grow with the franchise. Shedeur's debut wouldn't fix everything overnight, but it would do something far more important. It would give this franchise hope again. And right now, that hope is worth more than anything else. Because if there's one thing this team is missing, it's not talent, it's belief. And Shedeur might be the only person who can bring it back. There's a moment in every franchise's story where everything changes. Not because of a trade, not because of a miracle win, but because the truth finally becomes too big to ignore. And Cleveland, the Browns are standing right on the edge of that moment. You can feel it. You can hear it in every caller on local radio. You can see it in every empty seat in the stadium. You can even see it in the way the Ravens, a rival who owes Cleveland nothing, are preparing for a quarterback the Browns keep pretending doesn't exist. That's not an accident. That's not a coincidence. That's a signal. The league is telling you what's coming next. Shedeur Sanders is going to get his shot. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Maybe it's fan pressure. Maybe it's ownership stepping in after another embarrassing Sunday. Maybe it's Dylan Gabriel coming out flat and forcing Stefanski's hand. Maybe it's the locker room quietly shifting toward the kid they actually believe can spark something in this dead offense. But one way or another, that moment is racing toward Cleveland. And once it happens, there's no going back. And here's the crazy part. No matter what the outcome is, it's a win for the Browns. Because if Shedeur steps in and succeeds, if he shows the accuracy, the poise, the toughness we saw at Colorado, if he starts making the throws this offense has been missing all year, then Cleveland finally finds the thing they've been chasing for literal decades, a real franchise quarterback. Not a Band-Aid, not a bridge, not a maybe for one season, a real long-term answer. A guy you build around, draft around, scheme around, a guy you build a future with. The kind of player Cleveland hasn't had since maybe Bernie Kosar. And even that's debatable. But if Shedeur struggles, if he looks raw, if he takes lumps, if the game moves too fast at first, that's still clarity. That's still information. And guess what? Clarity is something the Browns front office has been operating without for years. At least you'd know. At least you'd walk into the offseason with direction. At least you'd have film to evaluate instead of endless speculation and political answers at press conferences. That's still progress. That's still momentum. That's still growth. What Cleveland can't do is continue sitting in the middle, stuck between hope and hesitation, between noise and denial, between a future they drafted and a present they refused to adjust. That limbo is what's killing this team more than losses ever could. And this is why Baltimore preparing for Shedeur matters so much. Because they're telling you what they see on tape. They're telling you they respect the kid's talent. They're telling you they're not taking him lightly. They're telling you that in their eyes, Shedeur Sanders isn't a project. He's a threat. He's a legitimate quarterback who can change a game, force a defense to adjust, and punish you if you're not ready. That's a compliment, a huge one. And the fact that it's coming from your biggest rival should mean something. The Ravens don't compliment anyone unless they're forced to by the reality of the film. So here's my prediction, and I'm saying this with my whole chest. The moment Shedeur Sanders steps onto that field, everything changes for the Cleveland Browns. The energy changes, the belief changes, the chemistry changes, the urgency changes. Suddenly the offense has life. Suddenly the fan base feels like the future isn't just another rerun of disappointment. Suddenly Cleveland has something they haven't had in years, a reason to believe. And when that moment comes, because it will come, I want every Browns fan listening to remember this. You're not asking for too much. You're not being irrational. You're not being impatient. You're demanding direction. You're demanding accountability. You're demanding the future this franchise promised you the night they drafted Shedeur Sanders. So buckle up, because whether it's this Sunday, next Sunday, or the one after that, the turning point is coming. And when it hits, it might just redefine the Cleveland Browns for the next decade. Get ready, believe again, and don't let anyone tell you the kid isn't the future. Because once Shedeur gets his shot, the entire NFL is going to find out exactly why Baltimore was preparing for him before Cleveland even admitted the truth.